Welcome to today's Explainer. We are unpacking a really provocative piece of text today that asks one of the most fundamental questions about the natural world. Where do incredible animal instincts actually come from? We're going to examine a source that looks at the astonishing capabilities of animals and uses them to challenge some deeply held assumptions, breaking down exactly how the author builds their case step by step. Let's get into it.
To really grasp where the author is coming from, we've got to start right where they start, with sheer, jaw-dropping awe. 880. According to the text, an American eel can discharge over 880 volts of electricity. Just let that sink in for a second. We aren't talking about a complex power plant built by human engineers. We are talking about a living, breathing creature swimming in the water, naturally capable of generating a massive electrical shock. The text uses this staggering biological fact to immediately hook us and force us to ask a very basic question. How on earth does such an astonishing capability exist?
Okay, let's dive into this a bit deeper. The source material doesn't just stop at the electric eel. It piles on the examples to show that nature is full of what look like master engineers. The text points out that termites build nests that are literally air-conditioned naturally. It also describes a specific African weaver bird that selectively gathers soft twigs and grass to construct what the author calls an apartment. And get this, it's one that keeps the rain out and, incredibly, keeps predatory snakes completely at bay. The author systematically surveys a massive variety of animal behaviors. We're looking at a whole spectrum of marvels here. Fireflies biologically producing light, spiders weaving these incredibly intricate webs. The text highlights turtles knowing exactly how to use warm sand to hatch their eggs, and bats flawlessly locating food in pitch darkness using biological sonar. The author also lists worms that can regenerate their bodies after being cut, military dogs with highly sensitive olfaction or sense of smell, and even chameleons changing colors at will to camouflage themselves. The text is purposely overwhelming us with these highly specific, highly organized sensory and survival details.
So, what does this all mean? All of these examples lead us straight to the core mystery presented by the text. Where does this wisdom actually come from? I mean, think about it. Does a bat understand the complex physics of acoustic sonar? Does a termite comprehend thermodynamics to air condition its nest? The text sets up a clear dichotomy here, asking us, do these animals possess high-level intellect, or did they simply learn these complex skills over time by summarizing their daily experiences?
Section 1. Questioning animal intellect.
The text establishes a super firm premise here, entirely rejecting the idea that animals possess some sort of deep internal scientific genius to figure these things out on their own. And to ground this idea, the author points to everyday marvels. A rooster crowing at the exact right time, bees building perfectly hexagonal honeycombs, a tiny chick knowing exactly how to break out of an eggshell, or migratory birds traveling thousands of miles across the globe. According to the source material, even these things that we see every single day and take entirely for granted are absolutely not the result of the animal being good at learning or having the ability to summarize its past experiences. Well, if it's not the animal's own brain power or lived experience, what is it? Here is the core thesis of the text, verbatim. Their instincts are the revelation of the greatest creator who has created them. This is the foundational argument of the document we're analyzing today. The author posits that every single one of these behaviors, from the 880-volt eel to the migrating bird, is not a product of the animal itself, but serves as direct, undeniable evidence of a creator. The text argues that the wisdom we see in nature actually belongs to the designer of nature.
Section 2. Rejecting evolutionary theory.
And this brilliantly illustrates the divide the author is setting up. Because the text takes such a definitive stance on a creator, it firmly rejects the standard scientific narrative of evolution. On one hand, you have the concept of millions of years of evolution, the idea that instincts were honed slowly over countless generations. But the text explicitly states that animal instincts are not results of millions of years of evolution. Instead, the author asserts that these incredible abilities have existed from the very moment the animals appear on Earth. So it's a complete rejection of gradual development in favor of instant, fully formed creation.
We are really looking at two strictly competing philosophies here. Animal wisdom and experience, which the author says is a completely false way of looking at the world, versus the creator's wisdom. The author attributes all organized, complex animal behavior exclusively to the creator. In the framework of this text, praising the animal for its instincts is essentially a total misdirection of credit. Section 3. The airplane metaphor. To really hammer this philosophical argument home, the author synthesizes everything we've talked about into one specific, vivid metaphor.
The text argues that if we attribute instincts to the animals themselves without looking for a creator behind them, it's exactly like looking up at the sky, seeing an airplane flying, and saying, "Wow, that airplane is so clever and wise to be able to fly." It sounds a bit silly, right? Well, according to the author, doing this completely neglects and ignores the actual wisdom and immense talents of the plane's manufacturer, the engineers who design the aerodynamics, the engines, the whole shebang. The text insists that animals are the airplanes and the creator is the manufacturer.
And that leaves us with a truly provocative final thought based on the text we've explored today. When we observe the staggering wonders of nature, the perfect sonar of the bat, the architecture of the weaver bird, are we just marveling at the plane, or should we be looking for the manufacturer? The source material leaves absolutely no doubt about where it stands, challenging its readers to adopt a completely different philosophical framework for how we interpret the natural world. Thank you for joining me to unpack this text today. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.